We asked everybody to send us questions for Mailbag Monday, and the number one question that everyone had, how is Donkey Kong Bananza? Psychos and sickos, welcome to another edition of the PHNX Suns Podcast, live from Studio K, presented by Studio K, fueled by Circle K. I'm Gerald Bourguet, and I am guest hosting still with Eric Ruby out on a much-deserved vacation, and joined, as always, by Stephen Pridgeon-Garner. Stephen, how you doing today?
I'm well rested.
Good.
Whatever. I apologize.
I was bracing for a second.
I acknowledge that comes across as a threat to someone with a new baby. So I apologize.
No, it's fine.
I got to be better knowing my personnel.
It's okay. We all need rest.
Yes. I usually don't sleep like that much, but for whatever reason, I feel like everything was catching up, and I probably slept about almost 20 hours.
Okay.
Combined between Saturday and Sunday. Yeah.
Let's go. We love that.
And my sleep tracker was significant double digits. And I was like, okay.
Putting up double figures.
Much
love
needed.
To see that.
Yeah, for sure. How about you? How you doing?
Good. No, it was good. Had a mostly relaxing weekend. Took the baby to the mall for the first time, to a restaurant for the first time. My wife took Archer for a little bit, so I got to go see a movie in the movie theater, which I had been like jonesing for. I missed it. Went to go see Fantastic Four. That was fun. So it was a good weekend. Also feeling recharged and revitalized. Looking forward to another week with you all. And we got a ton of Mailbag Monday questions to get into. So let's start right off the top. Let's get right into it. We've got one from Martin on Twitter here. Is Point Green a red flag? Do you see it as a long-term plan to rebrand him as point guard, or more of a way to please Jalen in case he's made it clear he wants to have the ball more in his hands, or Book in case he doesn't want to be the point? Any official info on the preferences for both? So Martin, if you missed it, we actually did dive into this topic in depth last, what was it, Friday? I think it was on Friday. So our very last show that we did, we got into the weeds with this a little bit, but just to kind of sum up in case you guys missed it at all, I don't think they're trying to rebrand him as a point guard. I think ideally, Steven and I are kind of hoping that it's a situation where you put the ball in the younger, energetic, athletic player's hands and let him get it across half court. And then you get the ball to Devin Booker, your primary creator, your best advantage creator, and let him kind of go from there. It's kind of a way to manage that combo backcourt, making sure your best playmaker gets the ball in the spots where he needs to without having to, zigzag and weave his way up the court with defenders trying to tire him out from being a full-time point guard. So that's kind of what we're hoping. Steven, did you have anything to add to that since we got into it pretty deep on Friday?
Yeah, I think Devin Booker dominates the usage on ball in terms of on a season-long basis who has the ball in their hands as an advantage creator more. But I think that maybe Jalen has it more to initiate actions, because when we've seen Devin Booker at his best self, though he's had some strong seasons at point guard, it's been him after Chris Paul runs a misdirection pick and roll just to get the defense moving. Now Devin Booker gets it. The defense isn't set. He has options to attack from, whether that be out of their signature elbow action that they were running. Like I said, misdirection pick and roll on one side that gets to him on the second side. I think there's a lot of different ways you can structure it, but the general premise, which I kind of banged the table on last season, was dynamic touches for Devin Booker. Not the ones where he's catching and holding, running predictable pick and rolls, or the defense is loaded in the gaps and he doesn't have really anywhere else to go. Give him touches where the defense isn't set and where he's moving, and allow for him to kind of dictate terms off of that.
And as for the part of the question about whether we have any word on the preferences for both and that type of thing, I do think that Devin Booker, if he wanted a traditional point guard, the Suns would have went out and got Chris Paul or another traditional point guard. Like, I don't think that would have been in question. We heard for weeks on end that like Phoenix and LA, those were the two places that Chris Paul wanted to be. If the Suns wanted Chris Paul, if it was a priority for Devin Booker to say, I'm totally off the ball, I want to be just a shooting guard, I need a traditional point guard, they could have gone out and gotten Chris Paul or Malcolm Brogdon or one of these other guys that we've been talking about for weeks. I think it's a matter of Book wanting to be a playmaker, wanting to be a basketball player. He's talked about that when we've asked who's going to be the point guard when it was him and Bradley Beal. And he said, I'm a basketball player. Like, I can do both. So I don't think it was a priority for him to get some, point guard, table setter type guy next to him. But I do think he understands that, like, I can't be the full-time point guard either. I need to be able to do both things. And I think for Jalen Green, he's young enough and into his career where, whatever it takes to make this new backcourt work, he seems very receptive to, and excited about playing next to Booker and doing what it takes to make that work.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other big thing in all of it too is the kind of trying to scale back some of the energy that Devin Booker has to exert over the course of 48 minutes.
Yeah.
If he's playing 36, 37, I imagine him playing 38-ish minutes next season. Do you want him to be going against the grain of a defense for every single dribble that he takes, which is as arduous as it gets? Or would you rather him kind of, like Kevin Durant said, knowing that whether he gets the ball or not, if he starts the possession off the ball, attention is going to be on him, which creates opportunity for others. I think that latter part seems like it suggests more sustainable production for him.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for being in here. Shout out your boy for the audio listeners, Buy-In Entertainment. We see you in the chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all of our audio listeners who will be listening to this later, but thank you for everyone who's here right now. Swish City Pod, Ashley Shaw, Andy Cruz, Freckled Mamba in the chat with you guys as well. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Leave a like.
Stefan from Serbia.
Oh, okay. We got somebody from Serbia. Love that.
Oh, is it Stefan or Stefan? I think it's Stefan. But yes, welcome.
Yes, awesome. We love that.
Appreciate you being here.
Love our international listeners. Make sure to leave a like. What should our like will be today, Steven? Let's set it at 100.
Yeah, triple digits is the floor for us this episode.
Let's start the week off right. Let's start with a 100. We'll go to our next question from Outlaw on Twitter. Chances of Khaman, Rasheer, and Koby getting rotational minutes respectively. For Khaman Maluach, I think the chances are pretty high. I think not just because of the injury thing with Mark Williams, because of the fact that Nick Williams could be expendable, because of the fact that Oso Ighodaro, they might play him at the 4 some. I think they're very high on this kid, and we'll talk about how high they are on him in a little bit. But I think it's a pretty safe bet to assume that he will get rotation minutes, whether it's at the start of the season. I think maybe it's Mark Williams and Nick Richards to start, and then as the year progresses and maybe they fall out of playoff contention or injuries or whatever, or Maluach proves himself, I think he'll get rotation minutes one way or the other.
Yeah, with Maluach, I feel like he's not going to be in the main rotation right away.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a kind of gradual process where more than anything, he just gets stronger.
Yes.
And that part then allows for him to start to have a little bit more room to play with in terms of a minutes load. So maybe not the beginning of the season, maybe not the first third, but once you get to like January-ish, maybe he starts to get 15-ish minutes, maybe injuries happen, maybe a trade happens.
Yeah.
But I think generally he'll get better after he gets some NBA conditioning and not just the literal win side of it, but the physical side in terms of strength under his belt.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, we know that this team is going to be taking a step backward this year in terms of expectations. But to start the season, that doesn't automatically mean the rookies are going to be fed minutes necessarily, especially under a first-year head coach who is going to try to win right off the bat. But it's definitely something to watch out for. Rasheer Fleming, I am not as I feel like for Rasheer and Koby, it's going to be more of an uphill battle for them to get minutes. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Fleming comes in and impresses right away and is the backup 4. But I do think there's suddenly a lot more depth there, even though there's not like a standout. This guy is definitely going to be our starter at the 4. When you talk about Fleming, you talk about Ryan Dunn, you talk about Nigel Hayes-Davis, even Oso potentially getting some minutes there. They do have a lot of options at the 4. And I think Fleming is a solid rookie, but he's still got some areas that he'll need to prove himself as well.
Yeah, I think I could probably take this time to speak on something. I misspoke last week when we were talking about starting lineups. It hit me afterwards. I was like, that's not what I meant.
what
I need to go revise. Yeah. So I was caught off guard looking at some other numbers or something, and I definitely believe it's gonna be Oso and Dillon Brooks starting at the 3 and 4
Oh, really?
for the Suns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's Dillon Brooks at the 4 though.
Okay.
And I've emphasized that part since the trade happened because Dillon spent time guarding up last season with the lineup constructs that Houston used. So naturally answering the question that's going to come about Ryan Dunn playing the 4, I think that's more so Dillon Brooks. After Dillon Brooks, if Royce O'Neal is around, he's probably the immediate backup and replacement for Dillon Brooks. But also Rasheer Fleming mixed in there. I think he can play a little bit of 3-2 in addition to the 4. I think he might have the best chance of all the rookies just because of the defensive ceiling that he has and how that integrates into everything that Jordan Ott is going to want to do. Maybe the most translatable thing for rookies is that language for most college programs is that they use a lot of the same terminology and principles that NBA teams use to get them ready for the professional level on the collegiate level. So because of that and his athleticism and just the otherworldly dynamics he has to his game on that end, I feel like they want to get that integrated as soon as possible.
Okay. So just to clarify, you think Oso will start at the 3 basically and Dunn?
No, I think Dunn's at the 3. I think Dillon Brooks is at the 4.
Okay, so Dunn,
my bad.
So Dunn at the 3,
Dillon Brooks at the 4. Yeah,
gotcha. So basically that was the same thing that we said, just swapping Dunn and Brooks. Okay, gotcha.
I think Brooks is more of a 4 for the Suns.
Okay, gotcha. Let's see here. Koby Brea. And someone mentioned Isaiah Livers as well for the competition for the 4 spot. Totally agree. I will say that I think Koby and Isaiah Livers being on 2 ways, I don't know that they'll get as many opportunities as like maybe last year's 2 ways, because last year's team was really bad when it was supposed to be good. So you're cycling through every option that you can to find an answer. This year, you have a lot of new faces, a lot of younger guys, and you probably know that for some of these guys, there's going to be failure that comes along with it. So maybe, I don't know. We could see. Maybe I'm totally wrong and they throw the 2-way guys out there for 5-10 minutes a night. Who knows? But I think for me, unless Koby Brea like absolutely balls out in the G League, which is not out of the question, and there's injury, my problem is he's more of a 2 guard. You've got Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Grayson Allen there already. So barring a trade, injury, or Koby Brea just, putting up 30 and 10 in the G League, I don't know that he's going to get those opportunities as much as the other 2 guys.
Yeah, with Koby, it feels like there's more significant kind of pieces ahead of him in the rotation. So because of that, I think he's maybe the least likely to get minutes immediately. So yeah, that's really all I got to say on Koby. I think he has a lot of room for improvement. I think we both said we wouldn't be surprised if he started in the G League and then worked his way up. Given the 2-way nature of his contract.
Right.
But maybe after that first stint, when he comes up from the G League, he never goes back because he's just ready. So
yeah, I mean, they still have an open roster spot. Like we know that Jordan Goodwin and Jared Butler will be competing for the 14th roster spot. 15th is still open. I would be shocked if it's anything other than Koby Brea working his way up to a standard contract. Which a rookie deal would be cheaper and help in terms of ducking beneath that luxury tax by the end of the season. So something to keep in mind there. Let's get to our next one. This is where part of the meat of the show is going to be here. What do you think of Hollinger's analysis about Maluach's summer league performance? He stated that Khaman's hands were concerning, not being able to catch contested rebounds and alley-oops. This is from Suns World on Twitter, as well as developing good hands in the NBA for big men who don't have so already is difficult, and raising the ultimate question of if the Suns fumbled the bag by not taking the 2026 unprotected first from New Orleans and the 23rd pick in this year's draft for number 10, considering the Pelicans could have yielded a top pick in next year's talent-heavy draft. So for those of you who missed it, John Hollinger over at The Athletic did write that the Suns turned down an offer from the Pelicans that Atlanta wound up taking, where the Pelicans gave up a unprotected 2026 pick and number 23 in this year's draft to move up to where Atlanta was. I did reach out to a source about this from the Suns, and the source confirmed that the Suns turned down that Pelicans offer of number 10 and number 23, who turned out to be Asa Newell, who they liked, but they weren't counting on anyone good being there. The Suns were at number 23. The Pelicans were calling everybody from 10, 11, 12. They really wanted to move up to get Derek Queen. That they were calling multiple teams. It wasn't just the Suns. And for the Suns, their reasoning for kind of turning it down was the question, would you rather have number 23 and a potential top 10 pick next year, or just take a guy that you actually like in the actual top 10 this year. Like, because the Suns liked Maluach. They didn't think he was going to be there. And when he was still there at number 10, in their thinking, it was a no-brainer. If Maluach had not been there, I'm told that the thinking would have been different. The conversation would have been different in terms of potentially taking New Orleans up on that offer. And like the Pelicans pick next year, it could be very valuable. We know that. Like the Pelicans team, their roster does not look great. We know that the 2026 draft has like 4 guys at the top that are like franchise changing prospects there. So this could look bad if that Pelicans pick winds up being top 3, top 4, whatever, and it yields one of those guys. But at the same time, like we saw it this year, a pick that projects to be at the top of the class, like the Pelicans could finish with the worst record in the league, and they could still drop to number 5, number 6, number 7. Like we've seen it with these flattened lottery odds. It doesn't guarantee you anything. So I know that a lot of fans value like draft picks. It feels like sometimes we value draft picks more than the actual players that they're used on. It's like that mystery box thing from Family Guy. Like, do you want the boat or do you want the mystery box? It could be anything, even a boat. Like, just take the boat. They really liked Maluach, and I know that it's a little tougher to swallow that news now because Maluach didn't exactly like ball out in summer league, but it's way too early to be saying, we messed up. He's a draft bust. We knew he was a project. We knew he was 18. The Suns are still really high on his potential. So just something to keep in mind, because in their minds, if Maluach had not been drafted this year and had gone back to school and was a candidate to be selected in next year's draft, they would have targeted him as like a top 5 pick at worst, maybe even a number 1 candidate at best. So the Suns really liked him. That's why that they took him there. They didn't want to wait and see, like, we could get a potential top 10 pick next year, or we can just use the one that we actually have on a guy that we actually like. So that was the thinking there from a source that I spoke with about this.
Do you guys think this would have been as big of a deal if the Suns had more than as many first round picks as they have?
Like if their draft cupboard wasn't so barren?
Yeah, exactly. Like would people care about having a Hawks or having a Pelicans pick?
They probably still would, just because I think a lot of people were shocked the Pelicans gave up an unprotected pick in next year's draft with the state of their roster, but I don't think it would be to this degree. I think it's like if Maluach had gone out there and averaged like 15 and 10 in summer league, we would not be talking about this at all, really.
I'll preface with a question for you and for Freckle Mamba. Was Maluach drafted to be good now or to be good later?
I think a lot of people want him to be good now, but I think for the Suns, they understand he could be a monster in time. It's not going to immediately happen this year. They know that.
I mean, he's an 18, turning 19-year-old with 4 years of basketball experience. I think if you expected him to come out here and drop 20 and 10, I think you should reevaluate what you're thinking about. But
okay, thank you. I just wanted to get that part squared away. I'm glad we're all on the same page. I have my reservations about Khaman Maluach. I mentioned them on draft night when they made the deal to move up, and then subsequently had Maluach be in their lap. We talked about it before the pick was official. I said that they should trade back and try to get more value to pick for someone else at that position. I still remain the same on that. Now, I'll be the first to admit if I'm wrong, if he turns into what they hope he turns into, which is some version of Joel Embiid in an evolved fashion that stays more healthy, can shoot a little better, more sooner, and things like that. The potential is obvious, it's undeniable. The summer league showing was not the best.
No.
However, if we're going to sit here and act as if there was nothing positive to take away from his summer league stint, then we're just looking at it completely wrong for multiple reasons. Talking to you, John Hollinger. Respect everything that you have been to our space, but if we're talking about analyzing a player, a scouting report, if you will, you're not looking at a prospect for what the prospect is bringing at this very moment, especially when you get the context of him playing for 4 or 5 years and barely being 18, 19 years old. This is a long-term play. This is a stock investment for the Suns. They're buying low now and hoping that they can cash in on all of their deposits going forward. But you're not going to get the best version of him in Summer League, especially considering what Summer League is. Everybody trying to prove to be them best selves, not a team.
Right.
Things hit a little different there.
Right. And I have no problem with Hollinger's analysis of Maluach's play, because in the article he said, he struggled with grabbing contested rebounds and contested alley-oops around the rim, which he did. Like there was. I don't think it's fair to sum up his entire summer league performance with just those
Correct.
two things.
Exactly.
I think there was more to it than that, but I also understand he has to cover multiple teams, multiple prospects. You only get a paragraph or two. So something to keep in mind there. But yeah, I think, and again, I know that Pelicans pick could be valuable. It could look bad if it goes top 3, top 4, and you get one of those franchise-changing players that goes to Atlanta because they did take him up on that offer, especially if Maluach doesn't pan out. But again, we're talking about this before the kid has even played a single NBA game, let alone a full season. So something to bear in mind. I think a lot of people have their preconceptions about a player and what they can and can't do going in, and then every bit of evidence that supports them, they cling to it, they grab onto it, and every bit that does not, they ignore it and don't talk about it at all. So it just feels a little disingenuous, and hopefully Maluach pans out to be a good player and we don't even have to worry about this anyway. So
real quick, Raul, yes, you can teach hand speed. There's a ton of different technology types of skill development that take place now to develop hand-eye coordination as well as hand speed. So on top of technique in general, they can kind of supplement them there on the off the court stuff.
Yes, appreciate all of you being in here with us. Tony Montana, Joe Mart 15, Sandman. Make sure to leave a like. Thanks for being here with us. Someone said that's exactly what's going to happen, Gerald. Let's be honest. It might, but again, we just saw teams that should have had the best odds at number 1 pick fall all the way to 5, 6, 7, 8. Like it's not a guarantee by any means. Again, it's one of those potential versus actuality type things. But we got a lot more questions to get into. We're going to get to all of them after our first break. All right, Steven, I know most people, when they think of Halloween weekend, they think of dressing up in costumes, maybe having some drinks, but no, you need to go to Phoenix Raceway for Halloween weekend. And the reason for that is they got NASCAR Championship weekend there this year from October 31st to November 2nd at Phoenix Raceway. If you've been here long enough, and I know you're relatively new to the area, Steven, you've seen it all when it comes to the biggest sporting events. You've been here long enough. You know we got Mercury, we've got Suns, we've got Cardinals, we've got all these different events. But if you've never experienced NASCAR Championship weekend, you're missing out because it's a sport that you have to experience in person. I mean, you're right there in the action. You can smell the burnt rubber, which doesn't sound appealing, but you can hear the sound of the cars roaring by at almost 200 miles per hour. It's something pretty incredible. And you witness 4 championships that are crowned in 3 days. And at NASCAR fans, they do get the best access in sports. But all of this goes down at Phoenix Raceway, which is one of the best tracks on the NASCAR circuit because they have a state-of-the-art venue that's set against the stunning backdrop of the Estrella Mountains, which is the perfect place to host Championship Weekend. So don't miss your chance to witness NASCAR Championship Weekend in person, coming to Phoenix Raceway October 31st through November 2nd. Tickets for Sunday's Cup Series Championship race sell out every year, so move fast to get yours now before they're gone. Here's the kicker as well. Championship weekend for NASCAR is going to hit the road starting in 2026. So this is literally your last chance to catch it in Phoenix for quite a while. Tickets, hospitality, and upgrades are still available. Get yours now at phoenixraceway.com. And look, after spending a hot day out at the track, you'll probably want to go home to a nice shaded area, maybe in your backyard, maybe your patio. And our friends over at All Pro Shade Concept can definitely help with that. They extend your outdoor living space with a custom fit awning, hundreds of designs and colors to choose from that will match any home. And they can even work with your HOA for approvals if you have an HOA. They've got motorized and retract with a remote control, all with LED lighting to light up your patio under the awning. So if it gets dark at night and you want a little bit of light action, you can do that as well. They got roll down patio shades to block the sun and keep the patio up to 20 degrees cooler, which is important now, but even at that time of year, it could really help cool things down out there because they've got hundreds of colors and durable fabric that withstands the Arizona sun. They can also replace and fix most old or outdated patio shades and motorized awnings if you don't want to go the route for getting a brand new thing. They're licensed, bonded, and insured. They've been in business for 20 years in the Valley. They started by making window shades by hand for friends and family, and they've progressed to where they are today. So make sure to call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com now to schedule your free estimate. Steven didn't write anything new over the weekend, but I do have a breakdown coming out on Ryan Dunn and Osuigidaro. I know you've got some video stuff coming out this week as well. We've got a couple more breakdowns to get to this week. So in addition to having access to all that stuff behind the paywall, you also get access to the Cardinals training camp coverage. We're doing a sale right now. It's a limited time offer, only $36. It's our Cardinals training camp special. Normally $80, but this is only $36, so that's more than half off. You also get a free t-shirt when you sign up. You get access to our Discord. Again, you get access to all the stuff that's behind the paywall, including like 75% of the articles that I write. And I promise you, nobody is breaking down stuff in the written space as far as these new players go, like I am. So make sure to take advantage of that. Go to gophnx.com/intro-offer-social. All right, Steven, on to our next question. We've got one here from King Ghidorah. Are there any more moves made before the season starts? I don't think so, but the one that we keep talking about is Jonathan Kuminga.
Mm-hmm. It feels like the only one that's kind of looming at this point. What would you say the odds are based off of the reporting that we got over the past about 10 to 11 days regarding the situation?
I still don't think they're high. I think the Suns are definitely interested. I don't know who's going to win that stalemate between the Warriors and Kuminga as far as which side's going to blink first, because I do think for Kuminga, like you're a restricted free agent. You don't have a ton of power, but at the same time, all the other moves that the Warriors need to make, like DeAnthony Melton, like Al Horford, the ones that we've heard to be rumored, they're kind of waiting for this Kuminga business to sort itself out. So each side kind of has a little bit of leverage, but I don't think the leverage will get to the point where the Suns can sign and trade for him with only giving up Grayson Allen and like a second round pick, because they don't have a first round pick to trade, which is the big thing holding it back, I think. If
you missed Gerald breaking down the repercussions, let's just say, for if the Suns were to bring in Kuminga under the templates for a trade that we kind of cycled through, go back to Friday's episode, and we even had supplemental content clipping that specific conversation for you in a condensed fashion. It seems like the Suns are very much in desire of Kuminga. I wonder if the best situation for Kuminga is to stay with Golden State or if it is for him to come to Phoenix. I think reports are that he is very much wanting to be in Phoenix, but I think that's more of a leverage play than anything, not specific to Phoenix.
Right.
It's just an opportunity external of the Bay for him. I don't know if that's the best move for him career-wise. It feels like there's still things for him to develop with Golden State in particular. So I would say I don't think there's going to be anything else that happens right now. Now, that can change if we get more news in a week or so, even tomorrow potentially, but I just don't see anything else.
Yeah, and we do have a related question from Martin following up. He said, Kuminga, is trading Allen's shooting worth his athleticism? Has he ever looked good on defense in high leverage situations? Great question. I personally am kind of I've been out on Kuminga, especially considering what it would take, what you'd have to sign him to, the fact that you hard cap yourself at the first apron. If you execute a sign and trade, it sacrifices a lot of the newfound flexibility that you just created for yourself. And somebody mentioned it in the chat, Kuminga's shooting is also still a large red flag. He's not a good shooter. So the Suns offering that guy a starting role, on top of the fact that Jalen Green is not the most efficient three-point shooter, on top of the fact that Dylan Brooks had a career year shooting last year, but for the most of his career has been around 34, 35%. Those are all concerning things to me. And I feel like you've already got Jalen Green. I don't necessarily think you need another guy who's going to want the ball, want touches, want a big role in that starting four spot. I don't know that that's the right mix for me.
Yeah, if the roster context was that they had a surefire 4 in addition to the 5 group that they have, I would be a lot more comfortable with them pursuing Kuminga. But because there's more ambiguity with the roster right now, more gray area, I just don't know if that's something that they should press the button on now. So for me, it's a no for the transaction side and the repercussions of it, but a yes to the bet on talent, because I do think that Kuminga is, I won't say all-star level, but I'll say borderline all-star level in terms of what his prospects suggest for him going forward if he's given runway and opportunity.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair way to look at it. I think if Jalen Green hadn't been the guy you got back in the Kevin Durant trade, I'd be more on board with this. I just think there's a little bit too much overlap there in terms of what they bring to the table, being young, upside, all that. And then also what you need next to Devin Booker, which is more defense and more shooting. And I'm not sure that either one of those guys checks those boxes as well as you would like. We also got this isn't really a question from Steve Voss, but he gave his thoughts on the matter. Give Brea a regular contract, bring Bol back, forget Kuminga, save your money. I'm on board with 3 of those 4. I think the Bol thing we got to let go. I think if he was coming back, he would be back already. And we've got enough competition at the 4 with options that don't necessarily check every box that you want for a starter. So I don't see a place for Bol among all that. But yeah, I think Brea will probably win a regular contract at some point.
Yep.
I don't think that Kuminga's worth it. And I do think like the save your money part, save the flexibility you created, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Agreed on all 4 of those.
Okay. We got one more from Martin here. Gerald, you are a father and experience how this affects sleep. What would you say to those who claim Grayson's shooting regressed due to extra muscle? Of course, you could have a baby that sleeps, eats, and does so well that it feels like a breeze. Definitely not my case. Martin, I'm right there with you. I love him, but not the best sleeper in the world. We'll get there with him. It's interesting, though, because I like that he set it up with those who claim that Grayson regressed, because regression in this case is dropping from 46% from 3 on just under 6 attempts the year prior to 42.6% on a similar number of attempts last year. If you take out the 46% year, which was his best year, his first year in the Valley, last year would have been his career high in a season, 42.6% on 5.5 attempts. That's really good. If that's what regression looks like, especially shifting from a starting role to a bench role, I'll absolutely take that. With that being said, he did struggle more so in terms of finishing inside the 3-point line. Like his finishing at the rim took a hit. Yep. He wasn't as good last year as he was the year before. That's pretty obvious. Part of that is going from starting role to bench role. Part of that, I think, especially early in the season when his shooting was struggling, was probably adjusting to being a father, to overcoming a couple of injuries, because he had a couple of injuries earlier in the year. I think all of those kind of combined. I do remember him saying that for the most part, his wife was like helping with a lot of the late night shifts for the baby so that he could, focus on doing what he was doing, because what he was doing was making millions of dollars for his family. So it tracks. But I do think like having a crying baby in the house where you're getting, 3-4 hours of sleep at a time, it can have an impact. I don't think it was the muscle thing. A lot of people said he got put on too much muscle, got too buff, all this stuff. I get it, but he was the same weight that he was the year before. A lot of it's going from something else to muscle. So maybe that affected it. But again, almost 43% from 3. Like, you'll take that.
I didn't see him shift his style of play at all. He was just able to play his style of play more effectively. In particular, because I don't think the hashtag muscle watch peach, I don't think that affected his shooting.
Right.
And evident by the efficiency on the volume, he dropped from top 3 the season before last to top 12. Oh my God. He's awful now. He's washed. Can't shoot no more.
Right.
No, that's not the problem. I think that there's just little things that he had to kind of sharpen on, but also skill development is not something that once it arrives, it's just there at that level and it never goes backwards in any capacity. Right. It feels like the season before last, rather, saw him be some of his best version of himself, getting to the rim, finishing through contact, and just generally playing around that restricted area because of live dribbles and cuts and things like that. Last season, the efficiency wasn't necessarily there for him. I imagine that's probably at the top of the things that he's been working on all offseason, is because he has great opportunity to drive closeouts because of the urgency that his shooting prowess suggests. He always has opportunity to get downhill. So also having one of the best deceleration steps and kind of Pinoy steps and Euro steps and things like that, just being better with the balance part and then getting into the finish. If that gets to 75% of what it was the season before last, we're talking about a player that's going to instantly add value whenever. Other big part for me, which I probably didn't enjoy as much as anything last season, was the defensive side, because I felt like the year before last, he was put in terrible positions to have to guard LeBron James and other types of threes that just wasn't tenable. I don't think it wasn't fair for him, but he still did that okay. You couldn't really ask for much more than he provided. Last season, got back to a more natural kind of garden of guards, and it wasn't as effective as I thought it should have been. And I think he admitted that as much in multiple respects. So I imagine I'm looking next season finishing at the rim and containing the ball more than anything for him defensively.
Totally agree on those two areas. And I think to your point, the Euro steps and the deceleration steps were not effective last year, or he didn't do them as often, because it felt like last year with the extra strength and confidence that he had, it felt like he was seeking out contact more and struggling to finish through that contact because it's just not the way that he had played to that point. It was more finesse and getting to his spots the year prior. So I think he gets back to that a little bit, relies a little bit less on the newfound strength, and will be back in business because he did dip from like 49% shooting overall to like 44. And that's all from inside the arc, basically. Let's go to another one. We got a super chat here from Justin Perkins, $10 super chat. Thank you so much for your super chat. Is it possible Grayson has a better year with a more fast-paced offense? Do you believe Bud's offense crippled Allen in ways that did more harm than good? Yes and yes, respectively.
Bud's offense crippled every single participant.
Yeah.
That did much more harm than it did good for all existing parties, including Bud.
Yes.
That's unfortunate, but that's a large part of why he's not here anymore.
And I think it's important to note that because everybody is very all in on trading Grayson or seeing what you can get for Grayson. I don't know that any other team is going to value Grayson as much as the Suns might, especially because if you get rid of Grayson, you better be bringing in some shooting because the Suns shooting took a drastic hit with getting a lot younger this season. And that is something we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. Let's get to our next question from Weather Chef. Are you concerned about Ryan Dunn's development as the current roster forces him into the 4 when he's very clearly a 3? Steven, I don't want to speak for you, but I think it's important for Ryan Dunn that he's able to play both. He's 6'8". We talk about positionless basketball. I think 3 is the position that he's best suited for right now. But I think if we're talking about the ideal roster that you have, you want multiple switchable, rangy wings who can guard multiple spots. And Ryan Dunn, if he can shoot the 3 ball, he can play the 4 if he gets a little bit stronger on the defensive end.
I think he gets to a point where he can guard 4s. And then naturally that plays into his ability to switch.
Right. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
No, and that's the thing. We're not quite there yet.
Right.
I think he's more so a 3 and a 2 right now than he is a 3 and a 4. And that's until the muscle part continues to develop with him in terms of that side of things. No different than Khaman Maluach and kind of the lens that I spoke to him with. So because I think he's more of a 3, I'm not concerned about his development. I feel like
second-year player.
Correct. Second-year player that was I think people kind of held his lack of maybe production on the offensive end, the deficiencies there, than they did for his all-time level prospects as a defensive prospect, like Sam Vecini mentioned he is.
Yes.
Which is why he dropped to the second round for the Suns. But because of that, I think he's ahead of schedule, honestly. The way that his offense looked in Summer League, and you can only look at Summer League so much, and I'll dive into that in the film session to come this week. The shots he was looking to take, the ability to play through stampedes, continuing to just catch and move and making quick decisions. I think all of those things becoming a lot more habitual than him having to think it through the way that he did last season puts him in a much better position to be successful on that end of the floor this season than last season. Put that in tandem with his defense having a second year and being stronger and more mature. That should all bode for him having a borderline starting caliber season.
Hopefully.
And he might not, if he starts the season there, he might not ever dip back into that reserve unit. Largely stemming from everything that came from last season, which are reasons that were not his own, but, he learned from those.
Yeah, we learn and we live and we learn. That's the Mike Budenholzer story. Let's go to our next question. We got another one from Martin here. Who do you see adding more value to the Suns as currently constructed, Butler or Goodwin, and why was Phoenix out on practically any competent point guard in free agency? Steven, I think our answer is for both of us is Goodwin. I could be wrong. I haven't, dove into a ton of Jared Butler film, but I've seen enough. I think he's more offensively inclined. I think Goodwin more defensively inclined. And I think we're at the point where we value point of attack defense very much. In terms of why they were out on any competent point guard in free agency, I don't know that that's true. They were in the running for Marcus Smart. The Lakers just got him. Like that happens. It's going to happen. I think in the case of Chris Paul, they didn't want to bring him back because of his age. I think that's probably the biggest thing. If this was 2-3 years ago and it was the same situation, I think they would have brought him back. Malcolm Brogdon, probably injury stuff or another team. I don't know. But your thoughts on Butler versus Goodwin?
It's definitely goody for me. I think the point of attack stuff is loud and speaks for itself. I think he's also more than capable and processes at the cadence they'll need for the ancillary things on the offensive end to be done in a way that's going to either create new advantage for them or just allow for them to sustain a certain type of tempo in the half court. So timely cuts, going to get paint touches off of that. The blue-collar efforts, finding an opportunity to get secondary or second chance rebounds for the team. And then the other big thing for me is his ability to screen for Jalen Green or Devin Booker or both of them to flip matchups and then also be able to play downhill on a short roll. I think those things are very, very, very important for any guard or wing that's going to be guarded the ways that he will be to process it a certain type of way. So those things held invaluable for me as much as his point of attack defense is.
And I will say, like, there were times during Goodwin's stint with the Suns where his shot selection drove me a little bit crazy. But there was also a section of the year early on where it was like you bring Devin Booker out, you bring Jordan Goodwin in while Book's off the floor, and he just starts making all these crazy fourth quarter shots. It didn't last very long. It didn't last the whole season. Otherwise, he would have probably stayed in Phoenix. But there was like a brief moment in time where it was a stretch of games where it was like, okay, Goodwin's carrying the offense in the fourth quarter until Devin Booker comes back. Sure. So I would agree on Goodwin. Let's go to our next question here from Swingy. Do you think we see Brooks' best offensive season here? I know his numbers were great last year, but I don't know if the 3-point percentage will be sustainable. I have the exact same question, Corey. Because it's my biggest question mark for Dillon Brooks because the Suns don't have the same level of shooting that they had last year. Like, obviously, if you lose Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, everybody had their issues with how that whole era turned out, but you're talking about above 40% shooters on pretty high volume for both of them. So now you're going to Dillon Brooks here, who, again, last year had a career year. He shot 39.7% from three on a very good volume there, but outside of that, he failed to crack 36% from three in 6 of the 7 seasons that came before that. So you're really going to hope that shooting holds up, because if Dillon Brooks can't keep defenses honest, and Jalen Green, he took like 8 attempts and was very league average in that respect, Devin Booker can't be the only serviceable shooter in your starting 5, which is a legitimate concern for me at this point if Brooks' shooting doesn't hold up.
I believe in Dillon Brooks' 3-point shooting prowess that he showed last season. Does it sustain to that extent? That remains to be seen. But if he drops off 2 or 3% and that volume stays up, I won't bat an eye at it.
You're okay with that?
I think there's more usage the Suns can get out of him than what Houston did because of the way that roster was set up. I mentioned it when the trade happened. You can throw the ball into the post with Dillon Brooks. He can attack. If he gets a switch, he can attack a smaller guard, put them in foul trouble, if not score. He's also a player that's capable as a passer, and there's a hub from the mid post, running splits and different types of actions like that off of him. That allows for you to put Jalen Green and Devin Booker in movement, which is what you're ultimately going to want. If you can do that, have the center space to the opposite side of the court to where the initial rim protection layer is not the center, it's a smaller guy. Now you're putting yourself in position to manipulate things in a way that's going to put Jalen Green and Devin Booker in a great position. I think there's also other ways in which Dillon Brooks can be used. I'm not saying he's like a point forward like Draymond in any capacity, but I think he has like maybe 40 or 50% of that in him, so where you can lean into it to get more unique usage out of your offense. I think if you're doing that in addition to Jalen Green and Devin Booker being featured well, to where Dillon Brooks is getting wide open catch and shoot 3-point opportunities, he's gonna make those, and I think that's what he showed more than anything last season.
Yeah, no, I that all makes sense to me. Hopefully the shooting holds up, but like you said, even if he Grayson Allen style regresses a few percentage points, as long as it's still in the green, you are more than okay with that. And you're going to need it too, because like I said, I don't know that you're going to be able to rely on much shooting elsewhere outside of Devin Booker, who for most of his career has not been a fantastic 3-point shooter in terms of percentage either.
And one more quick stat on Dillon Brooks.
Sure.
So in all 4 of his last years with the Grizzlies, double-digit assist percentage for his team.
Okay.
The last 3 years, 11.7%, 15.4%, 11.7%.
Yeah.
Those are all solid numbers for someone that's not a primary creator in any capacity. That speaks to the ability to lean into him for some playmaking duties to kind of shoulder some of that for Green and Booker.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be diving into Dillon Brooks a little bit later in the week. I'll be having a written article. We'll be doing a deep dive on the show as well. Are you doing a video breakdown yet? Or
I got Dunn and Iguodala on the
yes.
books this week. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be covering it from all different angles here. But we got quite a few more questions to get to, a couple of fun ones coming up. But first, we're going to take our final break. Guys, it's the dog days of summer, and if you're out here in Arizona, you know that we are sweating all the way through it right now. So it is very important that you have AC at your place and that it's APS so that you can lean into the advantage of having a smart thermostat. Here's how it works. It works with your APS rate plan to help you automatically adjust the temperature in your home. Because for every 1 degree that you raise your thermostat, you could save 2 to 3% on your cooling costs. So that adds up pretty quickly in the summer when you need that AC running pretty near constantly. The problem is you have to remember to adjust your thermostat, and that can be kind of hard when you're busy or you're away from home. But a smart thermostat does make it easy, because if you are away from home and forget to adjust the temperature, you can do that from your smartphone or your device from anywhere on the go. APS customers, you can find instant rebates, discounts, and special offers on smart thermostats, energy efficient appliances, and more at marketplace.aps.com. Right now, APS customers may be eligible for smart thermostats for as low as $0 when you enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. If you already have a smart thermostat at home, see if it's eligible to enroll in Cool Rewards. Plus, free install is available at marketplace.aps.com. Must be an APS customer and pay shipping and taxes. Other restrictions apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for more information. One thing that can also help with keeping your house cool is updating your flooring a little bit cooler surfaces. And so I want to tell you about our friends over at Empire today, because just like your favorite team needs the home court advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire today can help you get it, because they have flooring experts. They have dedicated flooring professionals, people who focus on flooring every single day. You go to those big box stores, you have a hard time just flagging somebody down. You don't know if they're an expert in that area or if they just know which aisle things are in. So this is a way to get around all of that, because they are your best bet for a new floor. They live and breathe flooring, and they can help you every step of the way. They can pick the right flooring and right colors for your space, and even see how it looks with your furniture in your house. That is a level of convenience you don't really get anywhere else. And you can get the precise measurements taken, because we all know sometimes you buy something in the store, you bring it home, and it doesn't fit your space. And then you're kind of screwed and have to return it and do it all over again. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHNX. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire today/PHNX for full details. All right, Steven, we got a couple more to burn through here. And this is the section of the show where we kind of go off the wall and we get some Suns related questions and then some off the wall stuff that we're going to go through. So we got another one from King Ghidorah here. Which players will still be on the Suns after the trade deadline? I made a list here, Steven. You tell me if it seems right or wrong. Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Mark Williams, Khaman Maluach, Ryan Dunn, Rasheer Fleming, Colin Gillespie, Koby Brea, and Nigel Hayes-Davis. My question marks being Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Nick Richards, Dillon Brooks, and Oso Ighodaro. Fair, or any that you would swap? And this is just a guess.
Names one more time, yes. The last ones.
Okay, so the last ones, the question mark guys, are Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Nick Richards, Dillon Brooks, Oso Ighodaro. I don't think all of those guys will be gone per se, but they're my question marks. Those are the guys that, if anyone was missing from the Suns after the trade deadline, it would be one of those five to me.
It's Royce for me. I feel like Dillon is a similar built, more capable version of Royce. And there's an age difference between those two there that I feel like the Suns will kind of have a little bit more value in. Also, the fact that Royce is on a friendly contract that other teams, especially contenders, will be at least interested in. That puts you in a position to maybe bring something in for you or just open up space at worst. Yeah. And I think that space on the cap helps them as much as anything else if they're trying to find a Kuminga type player going forward, but not trying to hard cap themselves.
So your prediction, if someone is traded, it would be Royce?
Yeah, I imagine it's Royce before anybody else right now.
That makes sense. I think Grayson and Royce are like my 1A and 1B in terms of they're expendable. They're role players that teams would like, not necessarily love. That's my problem is like, I think the Suns would like to turn those guys into something. And I don't know that deal is out there. They seem more like guys that you would picture on a bad team, and that team just deals them at the trade deadline for like some second round picks and somebody. Like that's kind of what I'm envisioning their value. Could be wrong on that, and hopefully they, have a great year and it's not even something that comes up because I love both of those guys. Something to keep in mind. We got another question about the coaching staff from Jamie Thornhill. Is the Suns coaching staff completed, or will they be adding anyone else to it? I am hoping they're adding more people to it because then they only got like 3 assistant coaches. I think if it was completed, we would have gotten a press release. I imagine they're still working on it, or they've gotten it done behind the scenes and just haven't announced it yet. But so far we have Damari Carroll. We've got Jesse Murmurs.
Obviously Jordan
Knott. And there was one more. I can't remember who it was. There's one more. Chat, if you can remember, help us out. I know it had already been reported as far as who they were bringing in. But yeah, I think you need more than 3 assistant coaches. So I'd imagine there's more to come on that front.
Yeah, we'll definitely have more news on that coming forward.
We got another
Chad Forcier. Or no, excuse me, that's from last season. Scratch that.
Well, I can't remember. Did they bring him back or not? Because I remember there was an assistant coach. It might have been Forcier. I can't remember if it was Forcier or if it was Lagarza that was around the facility. I'll have to look that up. But we have a super chat from Tony Montana. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Both of you name your ideal starting 5 and first 3 off the bench, and at what positions with the current roster as is, if you don't mind, please. Okay, so I think we all agree that the starting 5 is Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, Ryan Dunn in whatever order, and then Mark Williams. And then in terms of first 3 off the bench, I think probably Grayson, Royce, Colin or Rasheer. I think Colin's definitely going to get minutes. So if he's not top 3 off the bench, he's top 4. But yeah, I think after that point for me, it's down to Rasheer versus Nigel.
Yep.
Versus Oso. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a three-way competition between Rasheer, Nigel Hayes Davis, and obviously Oso Ighodaro as well. So that's we got the same 8 that we're speaking to. Colin obviously going to get minutes, but maybe not staking as much of a claim on volume as those other 3 guys. Yeah,
I think maybe Colin would be top 4. I think he's definitely going to get minutes just because of the position he plays and the fact that he's the only point guard on the roster. But I think Grayson, Royce, and maybe that 4, whoever wins that battle, will get more minutes just because you can stagger Jalen Green and Devin Booker for the ball handling duties. We got,
by the way,
go ahead.
Brian Randall.
Oh, thank you. Yes, there we go. Brian Randall. They're bringing Brian Randall back. He was around on Monty Williams' staff. We did get that report a few weeks back, I think. So we got another question from Martin. Last question. What is your prediction? Where do the Suns rank next season on offense and defense? Please make your case and go beyond a simple number. Thank you. Love the show. Keep rocking. Thank you, Martin. You supplied us with like 6 questions today. So you the real MVP for that.
Yeah. Martin's the heavy hitter for today's episode.
Yes. So just for reference, the Suns ranked 13th in offensive rating last year and 27th in defensive rating. That was with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, and unfortunately Mike Budenholzer. This year they do not have Kevin Durant, they do not have Bradley Beal, but they don't have Mike Budenholzer. So man, I think they got a lot younger. I think they got a lot worse offensively. I think defensively they'll be better. I'm going to put them at 20th in offensive rating and like 15th in defensive rating.
Okay. So for context, last season, non-garbage time minutes, the Suns were 13th in offensive rating, 9th in the half court, 27th in defensive rating, 30th in the half court.
Yeah.
So bottom third significantly.
So the worst half court defense.
The absolute worst half court.
I would have thought it was partially transition. That's not great.
No. So for all the attention that people were giving for the general defense, I was like, but the half court was where it was significantly worse.
That's bad.
They'll be better. I'll start on the worst part of it. They'll be better on the defensive end. You quite literally can't get worse than 30th.
You can't.
You almost can't even do it intentionally, if I'm being honest.
They'll try.
And the fact that they've been intentional about personnel as well as scheme that they're ultimately going to start to establish a foundation layer with.
Right.
having Jordan Goodwin, having Rasheer Fleming, a second-year Ryan Dunn, Dylan Brooks, Mark Williams at the rim, the rim protection in general being much better, but the perimeter and point of attack defense especially being better as well, they won't be 30th. I think they can get as high as like on the highest level, they can probably get to top 10.
Okay.
If they're playing with the multiple efforts that Jordan Knott is hoping for and everything that he's communicated, I don't think top 10 is out of the realm for them in terms of overall defense, but also in the half court. Offensive side is where questions are going to come from because it's not, you can't process you expect to play off of your defense this much because defense is something that varies because offense is what the rules are latent to, but also just the way that players are built nowadays.
Yeah.
Hard to take away offensive guys. Middle of the pack on offense. So they were 13th last season. I don't think they'll be better than that. I think they can be around 15 or 16.
Okay.
I think the back end maybe 18th in offense. And then in the half court, they were 9th last season. I don't think they'll be 9th. I think they'll be around that same area, 15th to 18th-ish. Okay. So in that kind of middle third range.
No, I think that makes sense. I'm a little more pessimistic on the offensive end. I think you're relying heavily on Jordan Knott and Devin Booker having the bounce back borderline MVP caliber season that he is capable of. Yeah. I think going back from, being 1B alongside Kevin Durant to the certified number 1 and nobody's close to that, it could pay dividends in that way. Smelly Garage Fluid did point out once expansion happens, you can in fact do worse than 30th. You're technically correct, Smelly Garage.
Yes, you're correct,
Fluid.
but under the constraints of what we're speaking to, no expansion going into the next season. But we'll revisit going forward.
Yes, we will revisit once Vegas and Seattle or Mexico City, whoever it is, part of the league. Girth Jr. did ask Gerald, you guys are always taking our questions, but where do we put our questions in Discord? Freckled Mamba did answer that in the chat, but every Sunday in the Discord in the Suns channel, we're posting asking for questions for Mailbag Monday. We also post it Sunday night on Twitter as well if you do have a Twitter account. But if not, if you're in the Discord, come respond. Give us your questions. We'd love to answer any and all of them because as you'll see coming up, we have a lot of wild ones off the wall. This is not one of them though. So how many wins would make the season disappointing with no expectations? I'm probably on the lower end of this. I think less than 30 would be disappointing for me. I think you get to 30. I have lower expectations for this group. And it's not because I don't believe in them. It's just I think there's a lot of young pieces. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of new faces, and a first-year head coach. I think there's a lot. And just the fact that the West is a bloodbath. Like, you have to be a really good team in the West to get to 45, 50 wins now. So I would say under 30 would be a disappointment for me, given where my expectations are currently at. But, Steven, where are you kind of pinning that number?
I expect them to win more games than they did last season.
Okay.
36 is what they won last season. That put them 20, or that tied them for 21st in terms of win percentage last season. I think anything less than 36 for me is what would be underwhelming. Okay. So if they stay on par with the roster that they have and the context shift, it would make a lot more sense than finishing with 36 last season. Yeah. Obviously, I do think they get closer to 40 though. I think if their ceiling is hit, I think they can get to like 42, 43. Okay. But I think they should be around that 40-ish range. Yeah. If I'm being what I'm seeing and how I can kind of see it playing out.
Yeah. I would probably agree with Nate in the chat. 30 to 35 is okay. 40 is good. 45 high peak. I think that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not expecting to be blown away this season. I think if you win 36 games, you feel a hell of a lot better about this 36-win season than you do last year. So it's important to remember with all of these numbers that it's not just the base number. It's the expectations and the trajectory that matter most here.
But full context, last season, 7th place, Golden State won 48. They tied with Memphis, who was also in 8th place. So if you're talking about 48 being top 8, I don't know if they get there. Right. Outside chance, but probably 5% or less. 9th place Sacramento, 40 wins last season. And then 10th was Dallas at 39.
Yeah. So it's doable. They could be in that play-in spot, but we want to thank all of our TV viewers for being here. The party always continues over at gophnx.com, which means it is now overtime. It wouldn't be a Mailbag Monday if we didn't go extra, Steven, because we have so many questions to get to. We appreciate all of you for submitting all of these. We're pretty far away from our like goal, guys. We're about halfway there, but you do have time to hit the like button. before we wrap up. We have a few more questions here. We got one more here from our friend Leo, who is normally in the chat with us and in the Discord, I believe. Whose first game back in Phoenix are you looking forward to the most? Kevin Durant's or Bradley Beal's? Truthfully, I'm not looking forward to either one, because I feel like there's going to be a undercurrent of toxicity in one and a overcurrent of toxicity in the other. I'm going to say Kevin Durant's, just because I would be excited to see what KD does against his former team. I'd be excited to see what Devin Booker does against KD, how personally Jalen Green takes it against his former team. There's a lot more to that matchup than just fans booing Bradley Beal every time he touches the ball, which I think is exactly what's coming. I'm not going to want anything to do with that
for sure
negativity. So I'm going to say Kevin Durant.
Yeah. I'm looking more forward to the Durant part of it for sure.
Yeah.
Just because of I think the basketball will be sensational. Less that on the Clippers side. I'll leave it there.
Yeah. And also, Det Nibble, Bill will be in street clothes. There's also that possibility.
Also relevant.
Yes. Damn. All right, let's get to a question from Sean Sifford here. How we liking Donkey Kong? And another one from E. Silas. What is your review in progress of Donkey Kong Bananza? I wasn't lying. This was the only question that got overlapping our responses. So you guys know your audience very well here. Donkey Kong Bananza is amazing. It's so much fun. It's made by the same team that did Super Mario Odyssey, which was like an amazing game on the Switch. That was the last 3D Mario game that we've gotten. Instead of getting a new one, they gave us a 3D Donkey Kong game. And it is awesome. Everything in the environment is destructible. It really pays off to have OCD if you play this game, because there's so many collectibles. There's like 1,000 golden bananas that you can collect, and I'm at like 500 right now, so I'm only like halfway through. But it's a contender for Game of the Year for sure. It's been a lot of fun to play it. Definitely, I would give it a 10 out of 10 for sure. For those asking, I don't know if it's better than Odyssey because it's different. Like Donkey Kong controls really well, but you like feel the power of being this big giant monkey instead of a little Italian man with a mustache. So it's a little bit different there. But yeah, if you have a Switch 2 or if you're thinking about buying one, Donkey Kong Bananza would be the way to go. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm not done playing it because I got, Sons breakdowns to ride and a child to raise. But when I get time to play it, it's been a good way to kind of relieve stress. I went to the dentist the other day. They take my blood pressure. I don't know why they do that at the dentist place, but they take my blood pressure and they were telling me, your blood pressure is a little high. I was like, yeah, I had a kid and Kevin Durant got traded. So don't know why that happened. But Donkey Kong Bananza is literally saving my life from higher blood pressure. All right, we got our last one here from Sean in the Discord. And this is a 2-part question, Steven. Suns-wise, your favorite Amari Stoudemire moment/performance. There's too many to count, but I'll go with his 42 points in Game 3 of the 2010 Western Conference Finals. Helped swing momentum in our favor until ... We all know what happened. Yes, unfortunately, we do. We actually did a whole what-if segment on that last week or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Years ago, it feels like. Steven, your favorite stat, moment, or performance?
I think the dunk on Anthony Tolliver was just so disrespectful in so many different ways. But I would say that game in particular, just because of the magnitude, the moment, the opponent, context makes a story hit in certain ways. And unfortunately, we know what happened after that, yes. But I think that the way that he was playing, I don't know if he played better in a sustained manner that he got to at that point. Yeah.
I'm kind of between the Anthony Tolliver dunk and the Michael Olowokandi dunk. I feel like that dunk is underrated. I know it's on Michael Olowokandi, but that dunk was the better dunk. Maybe context for the Warriors dunk was better for sure. Yeah, I'm kind of torn between the two of those. Second part of the question, non-Suns related. Favorite Tarantino movie? I like them all, but Reservoir Dogs and Jackie Brown are all up there for me. Steven, I'll let you go first.
I think Pulp Fiction is an easy choice. Pulp Fiction is fun. For me, though, Django Unchained. Yeah. Django was very, very fun to watch. There's always like a fun kind of gray area you can lean into for a topic that's serious, but also something that's action. And I think the comedy naturally with the personnel that he had for the movie. It lent itself right into it perfectly. So I think they struck that accord greatly, and it's Django for me.
Okay. Tarantino has some bangers for sure.
The entire Kill Bill series is fun.
Yeah. I had a hard time narrowing it down. Pulp Fiction is probably the GOAT Tarantino film, but my personal favorite might be Inglourious Bastards. Kill Bill's up there. Django is up there. Jackie Brown's probably the most underrated of his, I think.
Yeah.
I really did not like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I didn't
get to see that one.
I know that some people really liked it, and I just hate it. That was probably my least favorite one. Like Leo had like one funny scene, and then I didn't really care for it. But you honestly can't really go wrong with most of his stuff. Some of it hasn't aged as well, for sure. But
yes, for sure.
Inglourious Bastards introduced us to Christoph Waltz, which that dude is fantastic. So that'd probably be my answer. But yes, Sean, Jackie Brown is probably his most underrated. It really belongs in that same category with all of these other great movies that Tarantino's made.
Hateful Eight was fun as well.
It was fun. It doesn't get as much love, and I don't think it's quite on the same level, but it's a fun movie, and most of his movies are undoubtedly fun. All right, that is going to do it for another edition of Mailbag Monday over at PHNX Suns. Remember, every Sunday in our Discord and on Twitter, we send out this prompt. So if you want your question read or answered on the show, we got plenty more of these to come. We got a long off season, guys. So any and all Suns related questions, Nintendo related questions, whatever you got for us, we're going to be here all summer. Make sure to leave a like on your way out. We did not reach our like goal, but you can help us surge to get there after the fact if you leave a like right now. You can follow our producer Ayrton, who puts together all these amazing graphics for the show, at Freckled Mamba. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. You can follow me on Twitter at Gerald Bourguet. You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. And now I'm going to go home, and instead of playing my Game of the Year candidate, I'm going to go write about Ryan Dunn and Oso. See you guys tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.